ואני ברוב חסדך ובביתך אשתחווה אל היכל קודשך ביראתך. אדוני אהבתי מעון ביתך ומקום משכן כבודך, משכן כבודך, ואני אשתחווה ואכרע אברכה לפני אדוני עושי. ואני תפילך אדוני את רצון אלוהים ברוב חסדך, אלוהים ברוב חסדך ענני בעמק אישך.
Continuing on the bottom of page 139, deepest good. When I sort through the layered texture of what clutters and claims my spirit, I find you, deepest good, in residence. You shine like a piece of gold inside of me. In that tranquil, secluded district of soul, I discover my true, unblemished nature. Teach me that there is much more to me than just my struggle and my failure. Absorb me in the jewel of your love until I am fully one with your goodness. We continue on page 177. What color is grass? The hurried eye said, green. But following the sheen of spring woods, there stretched meadows marbled in such hues of yellow-green, red-green, and blues, merging below, between, above. What color is grass? The thoughtful eye said, love. What color is love? The harried heart said, flame, but following the changing years, there poured prisms of delight, and spectrum flowed out of the name, paling moon, stars, and sun. What color is love? The knowing heart said one. Page 178, the Baruch Hu, our call to prayer. Please rise if you're able. We continue reading together on the top of page 181. Those who dwell as scientists or laymen among the beauties and mysteries of the earth, are never alone or weary of life. Whatever the vexations or concerns of their personal lives, their thoughts can find paths that lead to inner contentment and to renewed excitement in living. Those who contemplate the beauty of the earth find reserves of strength that will endure as long as life lasts. There is symbolic as well as actual beauty in the migration of the birds, the ebb and flow of the tides, the folded bud ready for the spring. There is something infinitely healing in the repeated refrains of nature, the assurance that dawn comes after night and spring after winter. Page 186, Shema.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Baruch Shem Kevod Malchuto Le'olam Va'ed.
Please be seated.
Ve'ahavta et Adonai Elohecha b'chol levavecha u'b'chol nafshecha u'b'chol me'odecha ve'hayu hadvarim ha'ele asher anochi mitzavecha hayom al levavecha ve'shinantam levanecha ve'dibarta bam ve'shivtecha b'beitecha u'v'lechtecha b'derech u'v'shochbecha u'v'kumecha u'kshartam le'ot al yadecha ve'hayu letotafot bein einecha u'chtavtam al mezuzot beitecha u'visharecha leman tizkeru v'asitem et kol mitzvotai v'tem kedoshim le'elohechem ani Adonai Elohechem asher hotzeiti etchem me'eretz Mitzrayim liot lachem Elohim ani Adonai Elohechem.
We continue responsively on page 193. Emet v'yatziv, true and enduring. All else is fluid, impermanent, fleeting.
Unsteady we falter, in chaos we cry, in quest for some certainty, an anchor for trust.
Tzur chayenu magen yishenu, rock of our lives, our shield and protector. You are the constant abiding through time.
You, the rock of your works, speak of wholeness and justice. You, the still center, fixed point where we stand.
From the ends of the earth, from the depths of despair, we call with the psalmist to our fortress and refuge. Lead me to the rock that is higher than I.
Our rock and salvation, our shield and strength. Grounded in your we shall never be shaken.
The towers of cities will crumble with age, and iron corrodes and decays into rust.
But the words and teachings that echo from Sinai are true and enduring. Forever they stand.
Michamocha, our song of redemption, page 196.
Michamocha ha'erim Adonai, Michamocha nedar hakodesh, norot v'nilot שמך על שפת הים, יחד כולם הודו והמליכו ויאמרו, אדוני ימלוך לעולם ועד. צור ישראל קומה בעזרת ישראל, ופדחנו ממך יהודה וישראל. גואלנו אדוני צבאות שמו, קדוש ישראל. ברוך אתה אדוני גאל ישראל.
The Amidah begins on page 198. Please rise if you're able.
Adonai sefatai tiftach ufi tehillatcha. Adonai, open up my lips that my mouth may declare your praise. Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu v'Elohei avoteinu ve'imoteinu, Elohei Avraham, Elohei Yitzchak, ve'Elohei Yaakov, Elohei Sarah, Elohei Rivka, Elohei Rachel, ve'Elohei Leah, ha'el Nara, El Elyon, Konei HaKol, v'zocher chasdei avot v'imahot, u'mevi geula livnei v'neihem, למען שמו באהבה. זוכרנו לחיים, מלך חפץ בחיים, וכותבנו בספר החיים. למענך, 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 אלוהים חיים. מלך עוזר ומושיע ומגן, ברוך אתה אדוני, מגן אברהם ועזרת שרה. אתה גיבור לעולם אדוני, מחיי הכל אתה רב להושיע. מוריד הטל, מחכה חיים בחסד, מחיי הכל ברחמים רבים. סומך נופלים ורופא חולים, ומתיר אסורים, ומקיים אמונתו בלי שיני עפר. מי כמוך בעל גבורות, ומי דומה לך, מלך ממיט ומחיה ומצמיח ישועה. מי כמוך אל הרחמים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים, זוכר יצוריו לחיים ורחמים, לחיים ורחמים. ונאמן אתה להחיות הכל, ברוך אתה אדוני, מחיי הכל.
Please be seated.
Page 207.
Sunshine, who in the nighttime,
Who by high ordeal, very merry month of May, who by who shall I say is calling? In her lonely slip, these robes of love, who by something blunt, who by avalanche, who by powder, who for his greed, who for his hunger, and who shall I say is calling? Who by accident, who in solitude, who in despair, who by his lady's command, who by his own hand, who by mortal chain, who in power, and who shall I say is calling? And who by fire, and who by fire, who by fire.
Continuing on page 209. Today we call it by its rightful name, a day of dread, Norah v'ayom, unwelcome visitor, for we want to live in a sunny world where God is love and all endings are happy. That the drum beat sounds and the words tumble down and even the angels tremble with fear. For all things are judged and all things will pass and life ends in a heartbeat and death knows our name. At the start of the year, in the season of truth, comes the day of remembrance for all we forget and all we deny, and we fall on our knees in the depths of our hearts, for we know that the bell tolls for us. The words are old and the language was theirs, but the call is real and the message is ours. Take hold of your life while you still have the chance, for your story will end, and it might be this year in a way you don't know. Take hold of your life. Make things right while you can, and don't miss the call of the day of dread. Continuing on page 212. We read responsively on page 213. An empty page, an open book, a day of ultimate questions.
Will I still be here next year at this time with the ones I love beside me?
What is in store for my family, and what will become of my friends?
Who will have reason to celebrate? Who will contend with grief?
New love, new babies, marriages deepening or breaking apart. Prosperity, struggle, reversals of fortune, illness, and health await us.
Who will be missing when we gather next? Who will stand apart? Who will be estranged? And who will have joined us, enriching our community?
On the edge of the unknown we tremble. What lies ahead for us all?
An empty page, an open book. Nothing is written and nothing is sealed.
Flesh and blood, frail creatures, our lives are fleeting and subject to chance.
Yet this we possess, the strength to persist, to prevail, to comfort one another in the dark.
Prayer, right action, a turning toward the good, these give us hope and help us bear the pain of life. Continuing on page 216. We who are mortal, our origin is dust and so is our end. We wear out our lives to get our bread, like broken vessels, like withered grass, like a flower that must fade, a shadow moving on, a cloud passing by, mere dust in the wind, a dream that flies away. But for you, ever-living sovereign, time has no limits. Your presence, unbounded by days and years, is everywhere. A glorious mystery none can decipher. Your name is worthy of you, and you are worthy of your name, and our name you have linked with yours. Continuing together on 218, please rise.
Nekadesh, Nekadesh, Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Nekadesh et Shimcha ba'olam, Keshem shemakdishim oto bishmei marom, Kakatuv al yad neviecha, V'karaze el zevei hamar.
Kadosh, 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 Adonai Tzevaot, Melech haaretz kevodo. Adir, Adirenu, Adir, Adirenu, Adonai, Adonai, Adonenu, Ma'adir, Ma'adir, Shimcha bechol haaretz. Baruch Kivod Adonai mikol mo'od. Echad hu Eloheinu, hu Avinu, hu Malkeinu, hu Moshienu, vehu Yashmienu, vehu Yashmienu, berachamav le'enei kol chai. Ani Adonai Elohechem, Yimloch Adonai le'olam, Elohim Tzion, Ledor Adon, Alleluia. Ledor vador nagid golecha ulenetzach netzachim kedushat nakdish. V'shivcha Eloheinu mipinu lo yamush le'olam va'ed, ki el melech gadol b'kadosh ata. The Eternal shall reign for all time, your God for all generations, Zion. Hallelujah. We will teach your greatness, l'dor v'dor, from generation to generation, and to the end of time. We will affirm your holiness. Our God, your praise shall ever be on our lips, for your power is boundless, sovereign, and holy. We continue on page 227. Please be seated. Continuing at the bottom of the page, we read together. Our sages teach, the righteous of all nations shall have a place in the world to come. And Scripture says, my house shall be called a house of prayer for all peoples, so let them be blessed. All those who pursue justice and act with compassion, those who give strength to the Jewish people and help to build our future, cherish family and friends, allies and supporters. With gratitude and love, we give them praise. You, and you alone, Adonai, will reign over creation, upon Mount Zion, home of your presence, and in Jerusalem, a city set apart by you. As the psalmist believed, the Eternal shall reign for all time. Your God, all generations, Sion, hallelujah. Baruch, you are holy, your name is holy. There is nothing divine beyond you, as the prophet Isaiah taught. The source of all might is exalted through justice, the God of holiness made holy through righteousness. Baruch atah Adonai, HaMelech HaKadosh. Continuing on page 232. Our God and God of the generations before us, may a memory of us ascend and come before you. May it be heard and seen by you, winning your favor and reaching your awareness, together with the memory of our ancestors, the memory of your sacred city, Jerusalem, and the memory of your people, the family of Israel. May we be remembered for safety, well-being, and favor, for love and compassion, for life and for peace on this day of atonement. Eternal our God, remember us.
Amen.
Be mindful of us.
Amen.
And redeem us for a life of goodness and blessing.
Amen.
Favor us with the words of deliverance and mercy. Show us the depth of your care. God, we await your redemption, for you reign with grace and compassion. Our God and God of our forebears, pardon our failings on this day of atonement. Erase our misdeeds. See beyond our defiance. For Isaiah said, in your name it is I alone, who wipe away your defiant acts. This is my essence. I shall pay no heed to your errors. And the prophet said, as a cloud fades away, as mist dissolves into air, so your wrongs and mistakes shall be gone. I will wipe them away. Come back to me, that I may redeem you. And you said to Moses, for on this day atonement shall be made for you, to purify you from all your wrongs, and pure you shall be in the presence of Adonai. God, who is ours and God of our fathers and mothers, lead us to holiness through your mitzvot, and may each of us find a portion of Torah that is ours. You bestow such goodness. Teach us to be satisfied and to know the joy of your salvation. We continue together on 237. Help us to serve you truly with purity of heart, for you are the forgiver of Israel. In every generation,
granting pardon to the tribes of Yeshurun.
We have no God of forgiveness and pardon but you alone. You are blessed, Adonai, sovereign, who forgives our failings and pardons the failings of your people, the house of Israel. You banish our guilt from year to year. You reign in majesty over all the earth. You sanctify the people Israel and the day of atonement. Eternal our God, your people Israel yearns for your favor. Receive their prayer with loving acceptance, and may you always desire your people's worship. Divine One, close to all who call upon you, bring your grace and presence near to those who serve you. Pour forth your Spirit on us, and may our eyes see your merciful return to Zion. Baruch atah Adonai, amachazir shechinato l'Zion. We continue silently with the remainder prayers of the Amidah.
shalom, tova uvracha, vein b'chesed, rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Yisrael, B'cheinu avinu kulanu kechad, be'or panecha, ki be'or panecha natata lanu, Adonai Eloheinu, sim shalom. Sim shalom, tova uvracha, gein b'chesed, rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Torah Kai, V'yakava Kesed, V'yakava Kesed, V'yakavruka Rachamim V'kayim V'shalom. Sing Shalom, Tova
Uvracha, Vein b'chesed, Rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, Ve'al kol Yisrael, V'tov b'einecha v'barek b'kol eich u'b'chotcha b'shlomecha. Sing shalom uvracha, vein b'chesed, rachamim v'rachamim aleinu, ve'al kol Yisrael, ve'al kol Amecha.
Searching for something to watch on Netflix this summer, I came across a new documentary, Behind the Curve. Behind the Curve, for those of you who haven't seen it, follows a man named Mark Sargent and other like-minded folks in their quest to correct the generally accepted fact that the earth is round. This growing group of people call themselves flat earthers. And according to a recent survey, 2% of Americans believe the earth is flat. That's 6.5 million people. Listening to Mark and the other flat earthers, it's easy to hear their desperation. They laugh when scientists conduct tests to prove the earth is round, offering other explanations for empirical evidence provided by the scientists. And when experiments they concoct themselves show the earth is round, they conclude they must have done something wrong and go back to the drawing board. These folks are so devoted to the idea of a flat earth, even when they prove a round earth, they still don't believe their own findings. The idea that we live on a flat earth is slightly humorous, and watching Behind the Curve felt like a guilty pleasure for the most part. The people interviewed in the documentary were sympathetic, but it was hardly a movie that leads one to support their point of view. I finished the movie mostly feeling sorry for these folks. They've become so detached from reality and so dispossessed from themselves that they fall into the black hole of conspiracy theories. Flat earthers are quaint, they're an oddity, and they're dangerous. At the end of a recent National Geographic online video, the host who's been interviewing Mark Sargent asks him if he really believes the flat earth conspiracy theory. And Mark replies, "I absolutely 100% believe we are not on a globe. We are a part of a giant studio set and all the world's a stage and you're on it." And the host continues saying, "But I still don't understand. Who's gaining from this larger conspiracy?" And Mark responds, The highest authority, higher than presidents, the super rich people that are behind the scenes. Remember, the first rule of power is stay hidden. The host then says there's real danger in what Mark is suggesting. And Mark ends his time on camera by saying, science has had its chance, and they aren't putting up any defense. I think that the flat earth could potentially usher in a new golden age, or it could assure an age of chaos. Mark's a nice enough looking guy. He appears harmless, sort of nerdy. But his belief system and the conspiracy theory he perpetuates relies on the irrational backbone of a group of people controlling the world. As he puts it, the highest authority, higher than presidents, the super rich people behind the scenes. Remember, the first rule of power is stay hidden. It is this irrational thinking, this malignant, cancerous thought that gets me worried. Flat earthers may make for a funny documentary on Netflix, but the notion of a flat earth, because the notion of a flat earth is so far removed from most of us, but the underpinnings of that idea are no different than the underpinnings of those who hold anti-Semitic beliefs. I have no idea if Mark Sargent is an anti-Semite, but I shuddered when I heard him use those words in the National Geographic video. Most of us tend to think of anti-Semitism as hatred of Jews. And it is that, of course. But it is really a belief system much deeper than that. In the anti-Semitic conspiracy theory, we Jews are the conspirators. We are the unprovable conductors of the greatest hoax in human history. More than the hatred of any other vulnerable group, we are the central narrative of the white nationalist, white supremacist movement in the United States. Eric Ward, executive director of the Western States Center, an organization working for economic, racial, and gender justice, and previously a Ford Foundation program officer, writes about his experiences in his anti-racist work over the last 25 years. In an article he published 2 years ago called Skin in the Game. In the article, Ward opens with a narrative about going to a doomsday prepper convention in 1995. He writes, "As a black man, I am regarded by white nationalists as a subhuman, dangerous beast. In the 1990s, I was the field organizer for the Northwest Coalition Against Malicious Harassment, a coalition working to reduce hate crimes and violence. We did a lot of primary research, often undercover. And a cardinal rule of organizing is that you can't ask people to do anything you haven't done yourself. So I spent that weekend, as I spent many, among people plotting to remove me from their ethno-state. It helped that despite its blood-curdling anti-black racism, at least some factions of the white nationalist movement saw me as a potential ally against their true archenemy." At this gathering, Ward goes to hear a man named Jack McLam. Ward continues, "McLam, a retired Phoenix cop who ran an organization called Police Against the New World Order, makes a case for temporary alliances with, quote, the blacks, the Mexicans, the Orientals, against the real enemy, the federal government controlled by an international conspiracy." He didn't have to say who ran this conspiracy because it was obvious to all in attendance. And despite the widespread tendency to dismiss anti-Semitism, notwithstanding its daily presence across the country and the world, it is obvious to you too. Ward lays out his analysis clearly when he tells the reader, "The successes of the civil rights movement created a terrible problem for the white supremacist ideology. White supremacism, inscribed de jure by the Jim Crow regime and upheld de facto outside the South, had been the law of the land, and a black-led social movement had toppled the political regime that supported it. How could a race of inferiors have unseated this power structure through organizing alone? And for that matter, How could feminists and LGBTQ people have upended traditional gender relations? Leftists mounted a challenge to global capitalism. Muslims won billions of converts to Islam. How do you explain the boundary-crossing allure of hip-hop, the election of a black president? Some secret cabal, some mythological power must be manipulating the social order behind the scenes. This diabolical evil must control television, banking, entertainment, education, and even Washington, D.C. It must be brainwashing white people, rendering them racially unconscious. Contemporary anti-Semitism, Ward writes, does not just enable racism, it also is racism. For in the white nationalist imaginary, Jews are a race, the race, that presents an existential threat to whiteness. Anti-Semitism does not exist in a vacuum. As with every form of hateful ideology, what is explicit on the margins is implicit in the center, in ways we have not yet begun to unpack. 2 years ago, I stood on our High Holy Day Bima discussing racism and our responsibility as Jews, especially those of us who are white, to ally ourselves with people of color for their sake, but I was wrong. We must also ally ourselves with vulnerable communities for our sake. It was just over 2 years ago that white nationalists rallied in Charlottesville shouting, "Jews will not replace us," and ended that weekend with the murder of Heather Heyer. 18 days from now, we will observe the 1-year anniversary of the massacre in Pittsburgh, a massacre whose perpetrator claimed our commitment to welcoming the immigrant as his overarching reason for killing 11 innocent Jews. And of course, on October 27th, it is also the 6-month anniversary of the shooting in Poway, a shooting which resulted in the murder of one person and left the rabbi, the brother of our own Chabad rabbi, Rabbi Aharon Goldstein, shot in the hand. There, too, the attacker claimed that Jews were engaged in white genocide. And it was just 2 months ago that the president said in his office, a Jew who votes for a Democrat is showing, quote, either a total lack of knowledge or great disloyalty. And then the very next day, the president retweeted a message from a man named Wayne Allen Root claiming that the president is, quote, like the second coming of God. But American Jews don't know him or like him. They don't even know what they're doing or saying anymore. It makes no sense. These statements are more than dog whistles. They are more than innuendo, and they are more than insinuation. They are anti-Semitic. They are hate speech, and America barely noticed. The Jewish community barely made a noise. It is not my job to tell this congregation for whom to vote, and I wouldn't do that even after the comments from the president. But it is my job to highlight Jewish issues in our world. And in my sermon 2 years ago about Judaism and racism, I acknowledged the lack of state sanction as one of the reasons that we cannot compare anti-Semitism in America today with historic anti-Semitism in Europe. And that is still true. However, with the tweets and comments that the president made this year, we are inching closer that way. Let that sink in for a moment. The President of the United States just 2 months ago claimed that Jews who vote for the party that is not his are disloyal and that American Jews deny him as their savior. In the not too distant past, millions of Jews died for these very same claims. When will we know things are really bad? Is there some tipping point on which we should focus? Given the history of our people, these questions are not overreactions. No, I don't think that we should be running out and getting visas for other countries or making aliyah, but is there a moment when we should consider that? In her book published earlier this year, Anti-Semitism Here and Now, Deborah Lipstadt discusses the rise of anti-Semitism we're seeing today. And like Eric Ward, Lipstadt offers a view into contemporary anti-Semitism. In her discussion of the trolling of Jewish journalists in the 2016 election, Lipstadt says the vehemence, intensity, and overt anti-Semitism of these cyber anti-Semites caught even those experienced journals as well as those who monitor anti-Semitism by surprise. Lipstadt argues that when the president and his associates retweet images and commentary from alt-right groups, even when they are not overtly anti-Semitic, the retweeters give license to the people who share these sentiments to engage in racist, anti-Semitic, and extremist rhetoric. And the more this kind of invective is repeated, the more it has a way of bleeding beyond its original borders and becoming part of the national discourse. As this happens, ideas that were once cindered to be outside the pale of civil conversation become mainstreamed. Lipstadt's book was published this past January, but I wonder what she would have said about the president's most recent comments in August. Lipstadt also discusses anti-Semitism on the left in her book. As a foil to our president, she uses Jeremy Corbyn in the UK, but clearly one doesn't need to cross the pond to find anti-Semites on the left. We must fight to ensure that the anti-Semitism that exists on the left does not grow as it has on the right. However, the anti-Semitism on the left and the right, they're not equal. It is only anti-Semitism on the right that has led to the death of Jews over the course of this year. In his discussion of the issue, Ward also acknowledges that social justice movements must take on anti-Semitism. He tells the reader, contemporary social justice movements are quite clear. To refuse anti-racism is an act of racism. To refuse feminism is an act of sexism. And to refuse opposition to anti-Semitism likewise is an act of anti-Semitism. Arguably, not much more should need to be said than that, but I suspect that much more does need to be said. To the hovering question, why should we be talking about anti-Semitism, I reply, what is it we are afraid we will find out if we do? What historic and contemporary conflicts will be laid bare? And if we recognize that white privilege really is privilege, what will it mean for Jewish anti-racists to give up the fantasy that they ever really had it to begin with? I wish I had a nechemta, that conciliatory moment in a sermon like this, the after all that statement that turns this sermon into a positive message. But to offer you that in this sermon would only be insulting your intelligence. I offered these words to you today not because I wanted to, but because I felt that I had to. Are we living in 1930s Germany? No, I don't believe we are. But we are also not living in a moment when all is normal. The flat earth movement is growing. Anti-Semites are emboldened, and conspiracy theories are treated as legitimate news. This is when we live. This moment. The hair on the back of my neck is raised, and we must stay vigilant and aware. Since engaging in immigration work and the shooting in Pittsburgh, I've been much more mindful of my own security. When we first moved to Ann Arbor, we didn't always deadbolt our door at night. Now I'm always sure to check my locks. We're taking extra precaution in our office, and as some may have noticed, we've increased police presence here today and on Rosh Hashanah. When I go to rallies, I scan the crowd, wondering who is present with us. But one thing I am certain about, no matter what happens, we cannot stop showing up for each other and ourselves. We cannot hide. And while it's easy to focus on national politics as mass shootings in other parts of our country, we must also ask ourselves about the anti-Semitism right here in Ann Arbor. Already in my short time here in Ann Arbor, I've had more than one conversation with students and parents about inappropriate language used by classmates in our public schools, a sort of low-grade anti-Semitism that conditions the body politic to accept more sinister notions of our Jewishness. If that joke about Jews being good at finding a bargain or hoarding money is so funny, maybe they really do control the banks. If you have a child in middle school or high school, ask them, when was the last time you heard a Holocaust joke or the use of a Jewish slur? Do they even know to recognize the danger of these seemingly innocent slights? Is it the same as the anti-Semitism of white nationalists? No, it's not. But we all know the jokes and language wouldn't be tolerated if they were about another vulnerable group. Yes, it is on us to protect ourselves. But we can do more besides only looking out for ourselves. As our sage Hillel said, Im ein ani li mili, uchshe'ani la'atzmi ma'ani, ve'im lo achshav eimatai. If I am not for myself, who will be for me? If I am only for myself, what am I? And if not now, when? As Eric Ward so clearly points out, anti-Semitism is the beating heart of white nationalism. But we are not these terrorists' only target. We must do a better job of working to ally ourselves with other vulnerable communities. Standing together is the way we must weather this storm. And it cannot be a passive allyship. We cannot just rhetorically support the black community, the immigrant community, the Muslim community, and other vulnerable communities. We need to show up as allies. As many here already know, this coming spring we will be going on a civil rights tour of Atlanta, Birmingham, Montgomery, and Selma. And when this trip was suggested, I agreed to work on it, but only if it meant that we were more than tourists. I'm already in discussions with the pastor at Bethel AME Church about having our communities come together in preparation for this trip. We need to be developing relationships with each other, and not just pastor to rabbi, but member to member. Shame on us if we travel to Georgia and Alabama and return only with pictures and memories. We will survive this moment, and I believe we will emerge stronger as an American Jewish community, but it will take supporting each other internally and seeking allies from outside our community. For 4,000 years, our people have traversed adversity, soared in golden ages, and transformed our world. This will continue to be our destiny because this is who we are. We continue Seder Kriyat Torah, the service for the reading of Torah, page 255, and invite to our bima to open our ark Susan and Dave Ostreicher, as well as to carry our Torahs during the Hakafah, members of the Board of Trustees. Please rise if you're able.
Ben kamocha v'Elohim Adonai ve'en kemasecha malechutecha malechut kol olamim u'memshaltecha bechol dor v'dor. Adonai melech, Adonai malach, Adonai yimloch le'olam va'ed, Adonai oz le'omo yitain, Adonai yivarech et amo v'shalom.
Adonai, Adonai, El Rachum v'Chanun, Erech Apayim v'Rav Chesed v'Emet, Notzer Chesed la'alafim, Noseh Avon v'Fesha v'Chata v'Nakeh. Adonai, Adonai, God compassionate, gracious, endlessly patient, loving and true, showing mercy to the thousandth generation, forgiving evil, defiance, and wrongdoing, granting pardon.
Shema Yisrael, Adonai Eloheinu, Adonai Echad, Echad Eloheinu, Gadol Adonenu, Kadosh v'nora Shemo, Gadol Adonai iti, Uniromima Shemo yachdav, Lecha Adonai ha'gedola v'ha'gevura v'ha'tiferet v'ha'netzach v'ha'od, Ki ho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Ki ho b'shamayim u'va'aretz, Lecha Adonai ha'mamacha v'yamit ma'aseh lechol erosh.
Say shalom, shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom. Say shalom, shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom. Yaseh shalom. Shalom aleinu. Ve'adon Yisrael. Ve'imru amen. Say shalom, shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom. Say shalom, shalom bimroma. Yaseh shalom.
Mitzion, Torah, Bar Hashem, Yerushalayim, Mitzion, Torah, Bar Hashem, Yerushalayim,
Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Israel. Baruch Shenatan Torah le'amo Israel. Kedushato
Mitzion, Torah, Bar Hashem, Yerushalayim, Mitzion, Torah, Bar Hashem, Yerushalayim.
Yivrechecha Hashem Tzion, urevedu beYerushalayim. Yivrechecha Hashem Tzion, kol yimei areha. Urevanim levanecha, shalom yom Israel. Shalom al Israel. Urevanim levanecha, shalom al Israel. Urevanim levanecha, shalom al Israel. Hallelujah, 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 hallelujah.
Seated.
move to. It moved since this morning. All right, that's right. Ugh. Here we go. Wow, we went pretty far. Here we go. Okay. Okay, you have the page number?
Page 269.
So our first aliyah, we have Dave Gitterman as our reader, and Greg Lewis will be offering the blessing. Ya'amod Greg Lewis la'aliyah harishona.
We should note that we're using the alternative Torah reading this morning, so should be different than years past.
That's right.
Yes.
Kind of eye-opening and different.
Baruch et Adonai Hamvorah.
Baruch Adonai Habarach le'olam va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach le'olam va'ed. Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher bahar banu mikol hamin v'natan lanu et Torato. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
Amen. Vayomer Adonai Elohim, Hein Hadam Haya Keachad Mimenu L'da'at Tovara, Ve'ata Pen Yishlach Yado, Ve'lakach Gam Me'etz HaChayim, Ve'ochal V'kai Le'olam, Vayishalchehu Adonai Elohim migan Eden la'avod et ha'adama asher lukach misham vayigaresh et ha'adam vayashchen mikedem legan Eden et hakruvim ve'et lahat ha'kerev hamitapechet lishmor et derech eitz hachayim v'ha'adam yada et chava ishto v'tahar v'teled et kain v'tomer kaniti ish et Adonai v'tosef laledet et achiv et Havel v'yehi Hevel ro'et tzon v'kain Haya oved Adama, vayehi miketz yamim, vayave Kain mipri ha'adama, mincha ladonai.
Baruch ata Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata batochenu. Baruch ata Adonai noten haTorah.
And for our second aliyah, Harriet Charson will be invited for the blessing. Ta'amod, Joan Cohen Jones, La Aliyah Hashniya.
Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech. Where am I? Baruch et Adonai Baruch atah Adonai, Eloheinu melech. Where am I? Halam asher barcha bana mikol ha'amim v'natan lanu et torato. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen. Amen. Vehevel hevi gam hu mibchorot sono umechel behen vayisha Adonai el hevel ve'el minchato ve'el kayin ve'el minchato lo sha'a vayichar lekayim me'od vayiplu panav vayomer Adonai el kayin lama harach lach ve'lama naflu fanecha halo im tetiv se'et ve'im lo tetiv la petach chatat rovetz ve'elecha teshukato ve'ata timshol bo vayomer Kain el hevel achiv vayehi bichyotam basadeh veyakom Kain el hevel achiv vayahargehu vayomer Adonai el Kain hey hevel achicha vayomer lo yadati hashomer achi anochi. Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu. Baruch atah Adonai noten ha'torah. Amen.
And for our third and final, Joan, don't go anywhere. We want you still here. For our third and final aliyah for this morning, we invite Jody Wallow to read Torah and Kathy Marshall for the aliyah. Ta'amod, Kathy Marshall, la aliyah hashlishit.
Leave
Baruch Hu et Adonai Hamvorach.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed.
Baruch Adonai Hamvorach Le'olam Va'ed. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu Melech HaOlam Asher Bachar Banu Mikol Ha'amim V'natan Lanu et Torato. Baruch Atah Adonai Noten HaTorah.
Amen. Amen. Vayomer me'asita kol demei achicha zoakim elai min ha'adama ve'ata arur ata min ha'adama asher pasta et picha lakachat et me'achicha miyadecha ki tahavod et ha'adama lo tosef tekocha lachna v'nahad tihye va'aretz Vayomer Kain el Adonai Gadol Aoni min soho Hein Gevrash tahoti Hayom Me'al Penei Ha'adama Umi panecha esater V'hayiti Nahad v'nahad ba'aretz v'haya chol motzi yargeni vayomer lo Adonai lachen kol horeg kain shibatayim yukam vayasem Adonai lekain Ot levilati hakototo komotso vayetze kain milifne Adonai vayeshe ba'eretz nod kidmat Eden.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam asher natan lanu Torat emet v'chayei olam nata b'tochenu Baruch atah Adonai noten haTorah.
It was an interesting choice that the editors of our Siddur made to include this reading as an option for Yom Kippur. Of course, beginning with God declaring that after Adam and Chava had eaten from the fruit of the tree of knowledge of good and evil, they could no longer stay in the garden. And that, I think, is part of the reason that we're all here today, right now, because we do know the difference between good and evil, and we have free choice in how we live our lives, and hopefully we try, we aim to do the best we can, and of course, as human beings, we fail over and over again. But it's the best part about being human. Hopefully we get to learn from our mistakes and continue to grow. I'll just point out one thing. The students that are here that have been in my confirmation class so far, we study a text together that uses this story of Cain and Abel. It's one of my favorite Mishnahot of how the judges are to speak to witnesses that are going to testify in capital trials, and they use one of the lines in this Torah portion that Cain's bloods, the damim of Cain cry out to God, and they ask, that's sort of odd. Why is blood in plural? And one of their responses, they give a few different responses to why it's in plural. One of the responses is that it teaches us that whoever saves a life, it is as though that they're saving the entire world, and whoever takes a life, it is as though they're destroying an entire world. Of course, because the blood's in us. We are each an entire world unto ourselves. We are each capable of creating an entire world. An important reminder for us as we read this Torah portion, as we think about our actions over this past year and in the year to come. What is the world that you're helping to create? Are there worlds that you've destroyed? We continue with our prayer for healing. Page 271. Yishaberach Avotenu v'Yamotenu Avraham Yitzchak v'Yaakov Sarah Rivka Rachel v'Leah Hu Yavarech v'Yirapeh et HaCholim. If you'd like to add a name, anyone you're thinking of. HaKadosh Baruch Hu, Yimalei Rachamim Alehem, L'Hachimam, L'Harpatam, L'Chasikam, L'Chachyatam, V'Yishlach Lahem Mehera Refuah Shlema, Betoch Sha'ar HaCholim, Refuat HaNefesh, Refuat HaGuf, Hashta B'Galav Izman Kariv, V'Nomar, Amen. May the one who brought blessings to our fathers Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob, and to our mothers Sarah, Rebecca, Rachel, and Leah, bring the blessing of health to all of those who are ill. May the Holy One, blessed source of life and healing, sustain and strengthen them with compassion, and restore them to full health without delay. For all who struggle against illness, let renewal of spirit and renewal of body come soon, and together we say, Amen. Amen. We invite to our bima to lift and dress and hold our Torah, Jack Zions, Melissa Simon, and Bonnie Keene. If you're able, please rise. Page 274.
V'zot Torah she'sav Moshe livnei bnei Yisrael. Ahi Adonai b'yad Moshe. Ya la 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 la, ya la la la, ya la 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 la, ya 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 la la la.
Please be seated. Well done. Before we continue with the Haftarah reading, part of me wonders, in 2,000 years from now, 3,000 years from now, what Haftarah we might be reading. And might it be this? This is all wrong. I shouldn't be up here. I should be back in school on the other side of the ocean. Yet you all come to us, young people, for hope. How dare you? You've stolen my dreams and my childhood with empty words, and yet I'm one of the lucky ones. People are suffering. People are dying. Entire ecosystems are collapsing. We are in the beginning of a mass extinction, and all you can talk about is money and fairy tales of eternal economic growth. How dare you? For more than 30 years, the science has been crystal clear. How dare you continue to look away and come here saying that you're doing enough when the politics and solutions needed are still nowhere in sight? You say you hear us and that you understand the urgency, but no matter how sad and angry I am, I do not want to believe that, because if you really understood the situation and still kept on failing to act, then you would be evil, and I refuse to believe that. The popular idea of cutting our emissions in half in 10 years only gives us a 50% chance of staying below the 1.5 degrees Celsius and the risk of setting off irreversible chain reactions beyond human control. 50% may be acceptable to you, but those numbers do not include tipping points, most feedback loops, additional warming hidden by toxic air pollution, or the aspects of equity and climate change. They also rely on my generation sucking hundreds of billions of tons of your CO2 out of the air with technologies that barely exist. So a 50% risk is simply not acceptable to us, we who have to live with the consequences. To have a 67% chance of staying below a 1.5 degree global temperature rise, the best odds given by this panel, the world had 420 gigatons of CO2 left to emit back in January 1st, 2018. Today that figure is already down to less than 350 gigatons. How dare you pretend that this can be solved with just business as usual and some technical solutions? With today's emissions levels, that remaining CO2 budget will be entirely gone within less than 8.5 years. There will not be any solutions or plans presented in line with these figures here today, because these numbers are too uncomfortable, and you are still not mature enough to tell it like it is. You are failing us, but the young people are starting to understand your betrayal. The eyes of all future generations are upon you, and if you choose to fail us, I say we will never forgive you. We will not let you get away with this. Right here, right now, is where we draw the line. The world is waking up. The change is coming, whether you like it or not. Thank you. Greta sounds like a prophet to me. We continue with our Haftarah, continuing on page 275 with the blessing, inviting to our bima Trina Fuller and Betty Kotzen.
Baruch atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, asher bachar b'mvim tovim, v'ratza v'divreihem hane'emarim be'emet. Baruch atah Adonai habocher b'Torah uv'Moshe avdo, uv'Yisrael amo, uv'nviei ha'emet v'tzedek.
Amen. The fast I desire. Cry from the depths, says God. Do not hold back. Lift up your voice like the shofar. Tell my people their transgression, and the house of Jacob their sin. Yes, they seek me daily, as though eager to learn my ways, as if they were a nation that does what is right and has not abandoned God's law. They ask of me the right way, eager for God's nearness. They say, "Why did we fast, and you do not see it? Why we afflict ourselves, and you do not know it? Because even on your fast day, you think only of desire, while oppressing all who work for you. Because your fasting is filled with strife, and with callous fists you strike. No, your fasting this day will not lift up your voice before heaven. Is this the fast I desire? A day to afflict body and soul, bowing your head like a reed, covering yourself with sackcloth and ashes? Do you call this a fast, a day worthy of the favor of Adonai? Is not this the fast I desire, to break the bonds of injustice and remove the heavy yoke, to let the oppressed go free and release all those enslaved? Is it not to neglect your own flesh and blood? Like the dawn, and your wounds shall quickly heal. Your righteous one leading the way before you, the presence of Adonai guarding you from behind. Then, when you call, Adonai will answer, and when you cry, will respond, I am here. If you remove the chains of oppression, the menacing hand, the malicious word, if you offer your compassion to the hungry and satisfy the suffering, then shall your light shine through the darkness, and your night become bright as noon. Adonai will guide you always, slake your thirst in parched places, give strength to your bones. You shall be like a well-watered garden, an unfailing spring. From you they will rebuild ancient ruins, lay foundations for ages to come, and you shall be called the one who mends the breach and brings back the streets for dwelling. If you cease to trample Shabbat, stop pursuing your affairs on my holy day. If you call Shabbat a delight, the holy day of Adonai, honored, and if you honor God by not doing business or speaking of everyday matters, then you shall take pure delight in Adonai. I will lift up your journey on earth to the highest of places and nourish you from the heritage of your father Jacob. For thus spoke Adonai.
Page 280. Baruch Atah Adonai Eloheinu melech haolam, sur kol ha'olamim, sadik b'chol hadorot, ha'el ha'neman ha'omer v'oseh, ha'medaber u'mkayem, shekol devarav emet v'tzedek, al ha'torah v'al ha'avodah, v'al hanvi'im v'al yom ha'kippurim hazeh, shenatata lanu Adonai Eloheinu, l'mchila v'lischila u'lechapara, lechavod uletifaret al hakol Adonai Eloheinu anachnu modim lach umevarachim otach yitbarach shimcha befi kol chai tamid leolam va'ed udvarcha emet v'kayam la'ad Baruch atah Adonai Melech mochel v'soleach v'la avonotenu v'la avonot amo beit Yisrael u'ma'avir ashmotenu b'chol shana v'shana Melech al kol ha'aretz mekadesh Yisrael v'yom ha'kippurim.
We continue on page 286. Reading together. God of holiness, we hear your message. Justice, justice you shall pursue. God of freedom, we hear your charge. Proclaim liberty throughout the land. Love and uphold our precious democracy. Let every citizen take responsibility for the rights and freedoms we cherish. Let each of us be an advocate for justice and act champion the values that make our nation a haven for the persecuted. May our actions reflect compassion for all people within our borders and abroad. May our leaders and officials embody the vision of our founders to form a more perfect union, establish justice, ensure domestic tranquility, provide for the common defense, promote the general welfare, and secure the blessings of liberty to ourselves and our posterity. And conscience as we aim to support our country's highest values and aspirations, the hard-won rights that define us as a people, the responsibilities that they entail. We pray for all who from fields of battle to clinics and classrooms, from government to the grassroots, all those whose noble deeds and sacrifice benefit our nation and our world. We are grateful for the rights of life, liberty, and the pursuit of happiness that our founders ascribed to you, our Creator. We pray for their wisdom and moral strength, that we may be guardians of these rights for ourselves and for the sake of all people, now and forever. And continuing together on page 288, the prayer for the state of Israel. Avinu, you who are high above all nations, states, and peoples, Rock of Israel, the one who has saved us and preserved us in life, bless the state of Israel, first flowering of our redemption. Be her loving shield, a shelter of lasting peace. Guide her leaders and advisors by your light and truth. Instruct them with your good counsel. Strengthen the hands of those who build and protect our holy land. Deliver them from danger. Crown their efforts with success. Grant peace to the land, lasting joy to all of her people. And together we say, Amen. We continue on page 290 as we...
291.
291. And as we call to our Bima, Ruth Scudell and Lauren Stout. Please rise if you're able.
Eitz Chaim hi, lama chazikima, betomecheha meushar, derachea darcheinom, v'chol netivoteha shalom. Hashivenu Adonai elecha v'nashuva Chadesh Yameinu Chadesh Yameinu
Please be seated. Continuing on page 292, we stand in humility, conscious of our failings. Shema Kolenu, Adonai, hear our call. True sacrifice to God is a penitent spirit, your treasure a crushed and repentant heart. For you are close to the heartbroken, and you give strength to a suffering soul. You are the healer of shattered hearts. You are the one who binds up their wounds. For thus says the high and exalted one who lives forever, whose name is holy. I dwell in a high and holy place, but also with the downcast and lowly, to bring new life to despondent souls, to restore and revive repentant hearts. Return now, Israel, to Adonai your God, for you have fallen because of your sin. Take words with you and return to God. Ask the Eternal, forgive what is wrong, accept what is good. We stand in humility, conscious of our failings. We set before you the wrongs we have done. We trust in your compassion, for you know who we are. Shema kolenu, hear our voice. Continuing on page 296, please rise if you're able. Our God and God of all generations, may our prayers reach your presence. And when we turn to you, do not be indifferent, Adonai. We are arrogant and stubborn, claiming to be blameless and free of sin. In truth, we have stumbled and strayed. We have done wrong.
Ay, 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 Ashamnu,
Ashamnu,
Bagadnu,
Bagadnu,
Gazalnu,
Gazalnu,
Dibarnu Dolfi,
Dibarnu Dofi,
He'evinu,
He'evinu,
Vehirshanu,
Vehirshanu,
Zadnu,
Zadnu,
Chamasnu,
Chamasnu,
Tafalnu Shaker,
Tafalnu Shaker,
Ay, ay, ay,
Ay, ay, ay, ay, ay, Ya'atznu-ra,
Kizavnu,
Kizavnu,
Latnu,
Latznu,
Maradnu,
Maradnu,
Niatnu,
Niatznu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Avinu,
Avinu,
Hashanu,
Pashanu,
Sararnu,
Sararnu,
Kishinu Oref,
Kishinu Oref,
Ay, 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 Rashanu,
Rashanu,
Shichatnu,
Shichatnu,
Tiavnu,
Tiavnu,
Tainu,
Tainu,
Titanu.
Titanu. Continuing on page 299. For the sin we committed against you through evading and avoiding because we could not face the truth. For our flight into hypocrisy and deception because we did not dare to speak it. For the facts we dissembled and all we glossed over. For the excuses we made. For feeding our bodies and starving our souls. For interfering with the souls of others and neglecting their needs. For shifting our responsibilities for reproaches and recriminations. For our foolishness, our folly, and false standards, for seeing these things only in others and never in ourselves. For our complacency which blinds us, and our self-righteousness which lessens us. For calculating kindness and measuring out pity, for charity that is cold and prayers without feeling, for withholding our love. For the appeals that we ignored and the people whom we refused, for the affection which died and our lives that became bitter, for the visions which faded, the ideals we neglected, and the opportunities we lost. For the fear of change and renewal and our unbelief. For saying prayers aloud but refusing to listen. For being our own worst enemy. We continue on page 307. Reciting together a vidui for the 21st century. We confess our sins against the earth. We commit ourselves to saving it. We have assaulted our planet in countless ways. We have blamed others for the spiraling, deepening crisis. We have consumed thoughtlessly and irresponsibly. We have driven myriad species to the point of extinction. We have exalted irreplaceable resources. We have failed to transcend borders and act unselfishly. We have given in to our many appetites and our gluttony. We have harmed beyond repair the habits of living beings. We have ignored the signs of change in our climate and our seasons. We have jeopardized the well-being of future generations. We have known the problem, but left problem solving to others. We have lost sight of our role as God's partners in creation. We have mocked cynically those who love creatures great and small. We have neglected the environment, most of all in places of poverty. We have overpopulated our cities and overfished our oceans. We have polluted seashore and sky, fertile soil and freshwater springs. We have questioned and doubted solid evidence of danger. We have ravaged the old-growth forests, ecosystems created over centuries. We have spewed poison into the bloodstream of our land, its rivers, lakes, and estuaries. We have transformed dazzling beauty into industrial ugliness. We have used shared resources for personal gain and corporate profit. We have violated the commandment, do not destroy. We have wasted precious treasures, our God-given gifts. We have exploited the weakest and most vulnerable in our midst. And yet we yearn to be better guardians of this earth and the fullness thereof. Let us be zealous now to care for these unique corners of the cosmos, this planet, our sacred home. On page 308, a Cheshbon HaNefesh, our own silent confession. You can either use the words here on 308 and 309 or pray the words of your own heart, your own meditation. And when you are done with your prayer, please be seated. Open your heart, he said. Open your eyes. See the truth and forgive. I can't, I said, through clenched teeth. It's this way, he said. The Endless One made a world wild and chaotic. Light and darkness, birthing and dying, joy and sorrow. All of us are enmeshed in good and evil, caught by forces beyond our control. We act in ignorance and confusion, blindly lashing out. But I'm hurt, I said. Listen, he said. You expect order. You think you can exert control. This is the source of your pain. The one who hurt you is trapped as you are trapped in compulsion and fear. Know this, he said. All of life, Hevel Havalim, a breath of air, a bubble that bursts in an instant. So learn to live with impermanence, accept uncertainty, and your suffering will ease. You cannot guarantee security, he said, but you can hold fast to wisdom. Look at the world with new eyes, he said. Let go of expectations, and you will relinquish anger. In their place, love and compassion will blossom. And then, the clenched fist of your heart will open, and you will forgive. Page 316, Shema Kolenu. So thus concludes our experiment with having double services.
That's right.
It's the rest of the day.
So services continue.
Services continue. It's my honor to invite to our bema the president of our congregation, Joe Pollack.
Hello, everybody. Welcome. It's so nice to be here in our sanctuary. And of course, we could not manage to have such a wonderful experience for the holidays without many, many volunteers who have worked very hard on the logistics to make this work. I will in particular recognize our volunteer ushers led by our head usher, Marty Luddington. And also, if you made use of the special needs parking, you will see Larry Biederman, who is outside doing a very good job. If you see any of our ushers, or Marty or Larry, later today, please be sure to thank them. Services continue. The next activity is at 2:30 in the chapel, which is our study session. At 4 o'clock, the afternoon service begins, followed at 6 o'clock with Yisker, which goes immediately into Nila, and then immediately after Nila, if you have the custom in your family of sending one person, you are invited to use our Circle Drive for that purpose. You're invited to drive your car into the Circle Drive and pause momentarily so that people can get into your car. And you are specifically not invited to stop the traffic on Packard for that purpose. So please don't do that. The buses that will run back to Burr Park after this service now and until 2 o'clock, which is about a half an hour from now. So if you have parked at Burr Park and need to retrieve your vehicle, I suggest that you proceed more or less directly to the buses. For the afternoon activities, there will not be bus service to Burr Park. So if you need to either move your car or if you're going and coming back, please make sure to park here in the neighborhood around the temple so that you can walk back to the temple. If you do park in the neighborhood, please be kind to our neighbors. Do not block any driveways, and also be careful not to block any mailboxes. It's very nice to see everybody. Shana Tova.
Shana Tova. And again, Joe presents his words so beautifully by saying that you are not invited. And as I said during this first service as well, that our sages of old would have just said you were forbidden. It works twice. That's good. It's good. It's good. In particular, if you're fasting, I promise it's easier to do it here than it is at home. So stay with us. I mean, I'm not.
No temptation to watch television and see ads that we don't want to be seeing this day.
That too, and no kitchen right
no kitchen
in the
right
room
there.
next door.
And you give us strength.
And you can certainly hang out here too if you'd like. You don't even have to leave right now. I'll
Unless
be here.
you need to get your car from Burr Park.
That, yes, but we will see you continuing as was already announced. Is there something else I was supposed to say though? I forget. Shana Tova. Shana Tova.